armband I have, which just says learn, share, repeat. And the whole goal of this is to simply, in its simplest form, figure out where people are learning, what they're doing, and how it's going. And I'm lucky enough to get joined by my boss, Mr. Reader. Are you there? Chris?
How you going, Robett? Good?
Good, brother. How is your Saturday? Where are you? What's bubbling?
Just been at the driving range actually a bit, which you'd be happy about. So just been having a few bombs at the course, which is good.
Bombs or shanks? I'm thinking shanks. Where were you playing? How were you hitting it? Were you stroking them well?
Look, there was a few coming off the club all right, and a few not so much. So a mixture of slices, hooks, shanks, and duffs, I think, today.
There you go. Okay, so Mr. Reader, you are the captain of the TodayFM First 15. I didn't make the team. I didn't know if you know about that. But what I'm interested to know, you're running a big team. You're trying to figure out how things go. And you've obviously been probably learning or listening to different bits and pieces that are potentially helping you grow. So right now, Mr. Reader, Chris Reed, what are you listening to or reading right now that you're learning the most from?
Well, I think probably the thing I'm listening to the most at the moment is the station, to be honest, because obviously we've been on air coming up 6 weeks now, so it's good to listen to the station. I seem to be doing it sort of every hour of the day at the moment, making sure that we're getting things right and we're sort of hitting all the right notes that we want to be at the moment. So a lot of radio listening, which is really sort of widening my sort of outlook on life as well. Obviously, we've got a range of different shows, your own being one of them, and from a lot of people that talk about things and know about things that I don't. So I love listening to things that are going to sort of enrich me, I suppose, give me a better outlook on life and teach me. So, between your show, obviously Dom's before yours, and then, Tover in the morning, all sorts of different shows with different outlooks and things like that. So that's kind of what I'm listening to at the moment, because there's not much time to listen to anything else. But as in regards to what I'm reading, I am a pretty bad reader, if I'm honest. I sort of start a book, I get about 60, 70 pages in, and I seem to give it up every time. But my favourite book that I've sort of been working on for the last, I'd probably say 6 months now, on and off, is No Rules Rules. Ooh. And it's the book of Netflix. Have you read that?
No, but yeah, go on. Interesting, especially with the crossover of media and commercialization. But yeah, go on.
Yeah. So Reed Hastings, who was the guy who came up with Netflix, has written this book alongside a female author who sort of spent 6 months working alongside him, and she, with the whole goal of finding out how Netflix works and what makes them tick. So it's a really interesting look into how to run a business from Netflix style, and it's their approach to the working week and employees in general is quite different. It's all about sort of they pay employees what they think the employee deserves to get paid, and they make the money up in the back end somewhere else. And it's also, people can work their own hours as long as the work gets done. They're all about sort of not having to see invoices for things like work trips and things like that. But it's all about trust. So that if, you take the Mickey out of that trust, for example, then your sort of head's on the chopping board in a sense, in the sense that Reed talks about, I have trust in my employees, but they know that they're not to betray that trust. So yeah, really, really interesting read. And one thing about Netflix is, hasn't actually made that much money. And he sort of touches on that in this book and says from a commercial point of view, it is obviously probably the biggest streaming, company in the world, or if not one of them, but it's not always been a massive money generator because he likes to put money into the business. So, yeah, that's what I've been reading at the moment. As I said, it's been taking me far too long, but it's a good book and a very easy book to pick up and just flip through a few pages from time to time.
I'm looking at it here. Drawing on hundreds of interviews with current and past Netflix employees from around the globe and never told stories of trial and error from Hastings' own career. No Rules is the fascinating, untold account of the philosophy behind one of the world's most innovative, imaginative, and successful businesses. Very interesting. Any insights that you're crossing over that you're using with Today FM and the crew and stuff there? Like, is any little nuggets in terms of like balance or staffing or anything that you've learned? Any insights?
Yeah, I think a big thing is obviously coming out of COVID, we are changing the way that we work, and that's been pretty evident for the last couple of years with a lot more work from home options and things like that.
Yeah.
Reed actually talks in the book about Netflix has kind of had that option for quite a few years. This book came out, I think, in 2000 I want to say 16, 17. So it's been out for a few years now, like long before COVID. And he sort of talked about they were already working on that sort of system, long before this. So I suppose we've had to adapt as well. I think everyone has, but now there's a lot more options for people working from home and things like that. And at TodayFM, we're definitely open to that. I quite often get calls or texts in the morning saying, hey, I'm not going to come in today, I'm going to work from home. But with that, there is a sort of, you are putting trust that the employee is going to put the work out too, which we're extremely lucky. We've got an amazing team of people that we know that doesn't really matter where they work. And I think down the line, it's definitely there's going to be a lot more options for people to work overseas. You can as long as you put the hours in. These days, with being able to take stuff on the road, with all the digital options that we've got, you can literally work from any part of the world, any part of any time zone, all that sort of stuff. So a lot of that's sort of gone into the thinking of today as well, as making sure that we're creating a business that can be operational from different parts. Obviously, you can get a lot more work done. Sometimes I think meetings are much better in person. You can get a much better read on things when you're sitting down face to face with someone, but obviously with the Zoom calls and things like that, it has shown that we can literally pick up a laptop and away we go.
Well, even case in point of that is I'm halfway around the world, technology, and here we're doing link back to New Zealand. So it's the exact same thing. Super interesting. Really appreciate it, man. I hope the rest of your golf goes well. I hope you shank a few more off to the right. And when I get back, we'll be going for it. But appreciate it, Mr. Chris Reeder. Thanks for joining in with Learn, Share, Repeat. Mega.
Thanks, mate. Have a good one.
Giddy up. All right, there you go. That's actually team. Here's my boss that was on the phone. It's Mr. Chris Reeder. He's the captain here. He's running the show at TodayFM. So I hope I did a good job interviewing him. Hope he did well. All right, coming up after the break, we're going to begin more into the mix for Robett Live episode 308 on Today FM.